Well, Dr. Lynch, a lot of people are watching this and they probably don't understand what exactly is going on here. So can you explain the ultimate goal of Russia with this invasion?
I think that Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, has made his intentions very clear. He wants to put back together the Soviet Union that collapsed 30 years ago. When that happened, 15 newly independent states were created. Russia was one, Ukraine was another, and Putin wants all of those now independent nations to be under the Russian thumb again. No part of that is more important than Ukraine, but this is part of a much more aggressive plan that Putin has, and one that he will continue to implement until he is stopped.
Will this act have any domino effect on other countries around the world?
I'm afraid it might. I think the Chinese are watching very closely to see what sort of response the West comes up with to stop this invasion and hopefully to reverse it. But China, of course, has its own issue with Taiwan, the Republic of China, another U.S. ally. And if Putin demonstrates that he can invade a U.S. ally and get away with it, it can't help but embolden the Chinese to make a try for Taiwan.
And we've been reporting that sanctions have already been placed on Russia, and that other sanctions could possibly come in the near future. What do you think these other sanctions could be that would come from the Biden administration, and do you think they're going to make a difference?
Well, let me answer the second question first. I don't think they'll make much difference. First, economic sanctions rarely work. When they do, they take months, sometimes years, to really have much of an impact. And again, there's an alliance between Russia and China. China has promised to make good any suffering that Russia goes through. Now, what can the West do in terms of sanctions? Well, try to undercut and undermine the Russian ruble, their currency. Try to cut off their ability to export oil and gas, but you can't do either one of those things without a negative effect on the United States. The latter will send gas prices right through the roof and fuel inflation at a time when inflation really doesn't need any more fuel. There's really no good outcome to this at this point.
Wow. And what about the people of Ukraine? What will happen to them? I know we're seeing pictures right now coming out of Ukraine where many are just fleeing, maybe trying to go into Poland. So those who don't escape, what will happen to them?
Nothing good, I'm afraid. Look, Putin is not only an authoritarian, not only a dictator, but he is also a Russian chauvinist. And Ukrainians are not Russians. They are not ethnically Russian. They are linguistically separate, and the people of Ukraine are fleeing for a reason. They prefer to live under a democratic state in a free country. And if this invasion succeeds, they're going to be living under a dictatorship. Most people flee dictatorships, and this is just another sorry example of it.
Yeah, a lot of nations are coming to Ukraine's defense. In fact, one of our senators says that Ukraine has the full bipartisan support of Congress here in the U.S. Do you feel like as nations back Ukraine that they're going to face any type of repercussions by getting involved in this?
Look, yes, I do. If Vladimir Putin can lash out at any nation that is helping Ukraine, he will certainly do so. This is not something that he's cooked up overnight. There's evidence of long planning here, and what Russia will probably do is try to launch cyber attacks on nations that are helping Ukraine. I might also point out that that same bipartisan majority has been urging the administration for months to send weapons and to send other assistance to Ukraine to deter this. And deterrence always is preferable to doing something after the fact. And the administration slow-walked in those requests, and very little was actually delivered to Ukraine. That's part of today's tragedy.
And is there a legitimate threat that Russia would attack any country that really tries to stop them?
Yes, I believe there is. I don't think it's a direct military threat, but certainly cyber attacks, as I mentioned, perhaps persuading countries to boycott trade with countries that are helping Ukraine. I think we're looking at a major disruption of global trade patterns in the next couple of months, and how exactly that will affect the United States remains to be seen, but certainly the effects are not going to be positive.
Yeah, of course, this is something we're going to be following probably for the next few days, definitely next few days, maybe even the next couple of weeks. Dr. Edward Lynch from Hollins University, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. I just wish I had nicer things to say. Thank you.
Of course, for more information on Russia's attack and what comes next, you can head to our website at WFXRTV.com.